we have come, different levels of yoga before you reach Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna is been talking to Arjuna how to gradually progress in his spiritual consciousness, so that he can understand Krishna. And he talked about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. In the second chapter was this thing. I mean, collection of all the different yogas. It was like a summary. And then third chapter dealt completely with Karma Yoga. Then we had Jnana Yoga in the fourth chapter. Fifth chapter again Karma Yoga. We can understand how important it is and difficult to understand because it's to deal with how to act Krishna consciousness in our day-to-day lives. And then after that, he says that if you perform Karma Yoga properly, then you will be able to come in touch with the Paramatma. And he says, so then that is why it comes to Dhyana Yoga, sixth chapter, which is about also meditating on the Lord, another method. See, different methods. This is why Krishna, I mean, the Bhagavad Gita is for all kinds of people. Different, I mean, it's not that you have to start from Karma Yoga, go to Jnana Yoga. No, not like that. Different peoples are inclined towards different types of connecting with Krishna, and that is all fine. And so very scientific understanding of how our, understanding ourselves and who is Krishna, who is God, and how we need to conduct, contact him and connect with him, and how, what are we made up of, or what are the different things which are acting upon us. So all the scientific knowledge we get in Bhagavad Gita, by which we can handle ourselves very well, right? That is why Bhagavad Gita is actually it has to be there in all the syllabus of schools and colleges, because it's, this is also a science, very valuable science to understand ourselves from different perspectives, So we are in the Dhyana Yoga where Krishna, explained about what is the, how a person, what are the symptoms of a person who has achieved this, the symptoms of, of the perfection of doing Dhyana Yoga, how he will be, how he will, equanimity, and what's the type of, even between gold and stone, and even between people, all these things. Then he told about how to achieve this. So he was talking about how you must sit in a, in a place which is very peaceful, in a forest or like that, and then you have to spread some kusa grass and put some deer skin on top, and then sit erect and staring at the tip of the nose, all these sort of things, and how you have to be regulated, not too much eating, not too less, not too much sleep, not too less, not some recreation also is required. Like for a yogi, what's the recreation? Going for a walk, like that. So he talked about all that. And now this last section, not last, one more section, two more are there. So now we are from, we did till I think 20, I think we have to do 24. That joy state. Yes. No, I think we did up to 22. Now 20 to 23, it's a long verse. Yatro paramate chittam. And here we are going to, it is, so how the yogi gets samadhi. Of course, this is impractical, this process, but why we are reading it is because we don't have to go to the forest and do Ashtanga yoga, but all yogas are included within Bhakti yoga. Whatever that you achieve through Ashtanga yoga by going to the forest, by staying here amidst of everything, and you're doing Karma yoga plus Bhakti yoga, which is chanting Hare Krishna mantra and, worshipping him, you get all the benefits of Ashtanga yoga also. So that is why Ashtanga yoga and Jnana yoga. So that is why we are seeing what are the achievements of Ashtanga Yoga.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
So what is Ashtanga Yoga?
Ashtanga Yoga is this Dhyana Yoga which we are doing now. Ashtanga Yoga, that means it's made up of 8 parts. First, Yama and Niyama, controlling. Okay, Yama means some rules, do's, and not to do something, and rules, Niyama, you follow that. Then you come to the next stage where you can do asanas, and then pranayama. So by all this controlling the thing, then what happens is your mind gets fixed. Dhyana. Then after dhyana, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses and mind from outside influences. Pratyahara, then dharana, complete. Dharana, then pratyahara. Dharana, pratyahara, then dhyana, meditation, and the continuous meditation leads to samadhi. So this is Ashtanga Yoga given by Patanjali. Okay, so this is Dhyana Yoga.
Hare
So
Krishna Mataji.
yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vettiyatra na chaivayam sitaschalati tatvata yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkena gurunapi vichalyate tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samnitam. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self with a pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So he is also described what is this trance or samadhi. So actually, we can see one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. So yoga is basically a yogi. He what is his purpose? He knows that the cause of his suffering is mind. Mind is giving all such things which will make me happy, and when it doesn't happen the way we think is what will make me happy, we become sad and unnecessarily all distressed, and we imagine all kinds of suffering, and everything is in the mind. And so he wants to leave everything and go and try to control the mind, in a secluded place. Now that same thing, by practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. Okay, this is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle. And then, so that is what? Detached from material concepts. So many things we are thinking this is how it should be, people should behave in a particular way. I mean, I'm not talking of normal things. Other than that, we have expectations, right? Everybody should fit into some particular slot that we have planned. And if they not like that, then we get very upset. So one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means the yogi realizes the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. So self and super self are two different entities. Normally, some people think Atma, Paramatma, they mix together and become one. No, there is no merging. So actually, the yogi realizes I'm a separate person and Krishna is there. And that is the state. Okay. Yes, thanks. So regulations of Dhyana Yoga, no. Is this what, can you go to the previous one, Preeti?
Yes, Mataji. This one? Or
Okay, but
below?
this is the beginning, right? This is the beginning, no?
Yeah, so
So that is the
this was...
Paramatma. You see the picture? Yeah, can you show? See, this is the Paramatma. Who the Dhyan, yogi, when he meditates, he can see this beautiful form within his heart. So that is why when he sees that, that is what. Okay, fallacy of modern day yoga societies. Yoga is not just breathing exercises, physical exercises for a healthy body, going to Himalayas, better facility for sense enjoyment. Yoga is union between individual consciousness and supreme consciousness. So yoga means combination, jugal, two. And what is that two? A combination of two people, that is Atma and Paramatma. Yes, can you go to the next? So Bhakti Yoga is also yoga. Yes. Can you go to the next one? Regulations of Dhyana Yoga, impossible for this age. We saw all this. So nobody can leave everything and go to the forest and be alone and just sit and meditate and all that. Best means of spiritual realization is Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti involves direct contact with Atma and Paramatma, even when you're not liberated. In a yogi, only when he becomes successful in controlling his mind, then the Atma reaches the Paramatma. He can see the Paramatma. But in Bhakti Yoga, even when we are not fully, perfected, the Atma can contact the Paramatma. Through chanting, through Sankirtan, through, worshipping the Lord, through acting for him, working for him, through studying about him. Actually, we are contacting Krishna already. Don't you feel happy and peaceful when you chant Hare Krishna mantra, when you read the Bhagavad Gita? So best means of spiritual realization is Bhakti Yoga. From the very beginning, we are connecting with the Paramatma. Chant the holy names of Krishna. We can stay at home, allows controlled householder life. So naturally, we can't do whatever we feel like without any, without any kind of a system or a discipline. It's absolutely essential if we want even to lead a proper material life. Unless we are disciplined, body is not going to function properly, right? Everything is created by Krishna. And we can see even the animals and birds, they follow a system. And all as the sun comes, as soon every morning as the sun arises, then automatically the whole of nature wakes up, right? Birds start chirping, animals wake up and they start again moving around. And so in this way, and then with the sun setting, then automatically they all withdraw, and they finish the work for the day, they go and rest. No sound, no chattering, all this. So they are following the system, and that's why there's no disease only. You don't find any animals falling sick in the forest. They don't need all that. They're quite happy. I mean, they're very healthy, because automatically they are following the natural instinct which is in them. But that is completely controlled by Krishna. They don't have a choice. It's not that each one makes a choice. Today, should I eat or not? Do I feel like eating this or that? They don't have any such options in their mind is completely fixed. They're not able to think. In fact, their mind is very less developed. But for human beings, mind is developed, and that's where the problem comes, because we have so many options, and our intelligence also is very much sharpened and all that. So what we use it for, for sense gratification. Let me enjoy more and more. Animals also eat, we also eat, but we have a variety of things to eat. They have very less variety, and it's all fixed for them. That's the difference. We have so many options and we get totally entangled, and we have all kinds of problems, and we are given the choice of determining also how we want to live. And that is where the reactions come and we get into a problem. So again, we have to discover through, we have to discover who we are and all that, and control ourselves. Otherwise, it's impossible. we go berserk because there's too many material options. And that's why we have to come to the platform of realizing ourselves. Then only this kind of regulated life and understanding who we are, all this is possible. So, so yoga practice regulations are regulated eating, sleeping, work, and recreation. Devotee eats only prasadam, so he's automatically regulated in his eating. And enjoy serving Krishna, does not waste time. So even sleeping, it is everything is scheduled properly for in a devotee's life, because he also has fitted Krishna in his life. So he has to become more, like you have to have an early bath, and you have to eat prasadam, I mean, after offering to the Lord. And so in this way, your day becomes regulated. And so that's what, if you don't have any of those activities, and if it's only for yourself, that's why people are not able to regulate themselves today, because it is just living for your senses. And the senses sometimes, okay, let me sleep a little longer. Or the mind says, no, let me just keep watching movies and other things, and now I don't feel like sleeping. I want sense gratification. So that's why the unregulated thing, unregulated in the food also, because we feel lazy. Just eat all these fast foods, just quickly eat and eat something, or eat restaurant food. So all the unregulation comes because of not serving Krishna. So in Bhakti Yoga, because we include the Lord in our daily activities, everything gets very regulated. So the yoga, you don't have to go to the forest and live alone and regulate yourself. While staying here itself, if you do Bhakti Yoga, your life will be regulated. Yes, next. Preeti, can you change? Stage of Samadhi. This is what we are doing. Stage of Samadhi, communion of soul and super soul. So, transcendental mind and intelligence. Transcendental happiness, Lord's Chit Shakti. Happiness is Ananda, Ananda Shakti. Easy detachment from matter. Bhakti Yoga is active meditation. So, this is what we are seeing now. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from mental activities by practice of yoga. Of course, here he is talking about Ashtanga Yoga. This is Krishna is telling about Ashtanga Yoga, but Prabhupada is talking about how Bhakti Yoga can achieve the same thing. So he's saying, after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul to transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. So what is this transcendental mind and intelligence? On the one hand, he's saying mind is controlled, mind is this thing, and intelligence also is controlled. Then what is this transcendental mind intelligence? It is actually the original intelligence and mind of the soul. So that becomes active because you've understood you're not the mind, you're the soul. The soul has also got the mind and intelligence. That is transcendental mind and intelligence. Without any of the misgivings of identifying the self also. Spiritually also, after understanding your Atma, you don't think that you become God. No. God is different, I am different. Soul and super soul. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. Okay. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure of the fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. So this pleasure actually comes when we identify ourselves as separate from the Paramatma. He is great, Vibhu, and I am Anu. So my role is to be subservient to him, to acknowledge his greatness and serve him. When we do that, that is when we experience Ananda, unlimited Ananda, because we are relishing who? The super soul who is unlimited. And when we come in touch with him, and if we are in our natural state of what we are with him, we're going to have unbounded feelings of happiness and love. But the monists, those who want to merge with the super soul, they are afraid to taste this happiness because they want to become God. The duality of knowledge and the knower is not accepted by the non-dualist. But in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted. So the monist is different. But here, the yogi who has gone beyond that, who understands that I am different, he is seeing the Paramatma in his heart. And this is corroborated by the Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of the yoga system. So, this Chit Shakti or internal potency is transcendental. So that is what one comes in touch with the spiritual energy. And of course, in Ashtanga Yoga, after one controls the mind completely, one comes in touch with internal energy. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, just by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you're contacting internal energy. You are actually communicating with the internal energy by just chanting Hare Krishna mantra. That is how powerful it is. And because of that, our mind gets subdued automatically. So, according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam, so the oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam by the monists. So those who are monists or Mayavadis, what they feel is that they think that there is only one. That means there is no two. There is no God and I. There is only God. That is, I myself become God by merging with him. So but Patanjali says this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. That there are two people, that he is great and I'm small. That we have to acknowledge. Because of false ego, I don't want to be a small, or I want to become God, and that's why they don't acknowledge. After nirvana or material cessation, there is manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. So this Chit Shakti of transcendental pleasure is real life. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra as Anandamayo Abhyasat, full of happiness. The natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or bhakti yoga. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical researchers, is said to have achieved samprajnata samadhi. When one is situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical researchers, it's said to have achieved samprajnata samadhi. In the asamprajnata samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasure. Because if you go through different philosophical research through Gyan, you're still connected with your material intelligence, mind, and so on. Asamprajnata samadhi means there's no longer any connection with mundane pleasure. Why people go through the Gyan mark? Because they're still attached. They're getting some pleasure in speculating themselves, in reading. They like to get a lot of knowledge. Knowledge also, if it is done just for your own enjoyment. Like some people like to keep on reading, doing a lot of research. That's for themselves. They like to feel I'm very learned and I know so many things. That's still mundane pleasure. The spiritual, because for one is then transcendent. But when we are aware of the Lord, then all knowledge, he is the source of all knowledge. Then we don't need all this. You're automatically enlightened from within by the Lord. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. If the yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection. Because as they are progressing in yoga, you go to samadhi. Then the first halt is you get mystic powers. Okay, because now, because all Krishna is the source of all mystic powers. He's Yogeshwara, right? he's the master of mystic powers. Mystic powers means it is material only, but it is subtle energy by which you can do amazing things. Like you can make your, where magic, what we call magic is, of course, not this ordinary magic which magicians perform, but actually it defies material laws. So that is how, like, we can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. You can fly anywhere in the universe. You can become lighter than the lightest. So you'll just float and fly wherever you want. And you can become heavier than the heaviest. Nobody can shake you. Nobody can move you like that. Or you can just reach out your hand, and wherever you want, you can take whatever you want. You can even touch the moon or anywhere. So, or you can control people's minds, or prakamya. Then you can change your form to whatever form you want. Like this, there are Ashtasiddhis, 8 types of mystic power. So now, if the yogi, he gets attached to all this, oh, very nice. I can enjoy myself. I'll go here and there. I'll get whatever I want. And not only that, he comes among the people and shows off his magical powers, and people start worshipping him as God. That's it. That's the ultimate. He feels then if he's just doing all that, then he will not progress further. And the effects of this, whatever yoga he did, will also burn up after some time. So that is why, so if the yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection. And then the best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. And a pure devotee actually has got all these Ashtasiddhis also, without doing Ashtanga yoga. They have this Ashtasiddhis, like Prabhupada and all. They saw that Prabhupada, hardly touched the floor when he was walking. He was just floating, actually. Though, nobody could catch up with him, even when he was above 70. And all the young boys, American boys, they would run to catch up with him when he was going on a walk. So, like that, so many things. Otherwise, how can a man alone in his old age go alone to a new place he's never been to and establish a movement around the world with, when in his lifetime, 108 temples and thousands of disciples all over the world? How can he achieve? Wrote 100 books and all that. So he had all mystic powers, but he never showed them off because he didn't want people to get diverted. Otherwise, everyone will be aspiring, oh, I also want mystic power. So as long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely this thing, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure bhakti yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative, but he's always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice. Those who are yogis can, also withstand many difficulties, problems, because what happens when he's doing acting, when he's eating also, when we are not in yoga, when we're not connected with to Krishna, then we become addicted to so many different types of food or anything. So many addiction. People are full of addictions, right? Something or the other they are addicted to. Even it may not be whatever it is. If you're addicted, even good things become harmful, right? So that is why Bhakti Yogi, because he connects everything with Krishna, and he eats things connected or does things connected with Krishna, he doesn't become addicted. He does it whatever is required, but without becoming too much attached. So this is how whatever Ashtanga Yoga is able to achieve with so much difficulties, Bhakti Yogi can also achieve. No, go to the previous verse. So before, no, yes. Now this verse, this is what one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. So one should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there's any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Of course, you might think, Ashtanga Yoga is too difficult. How can we become, determined to follow that? But Bhakti Yoga, easy process, and if we are determined, then determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. And that's why in Bhakti Yoga, we need association of devotees. On the one hand, Ashtanga Yoga says just go away from everyone. It sees everybody as a source of, a source of distraction. And because it's so difficult that very few people practice that. So you have to go away from people and sit. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, so many people can practice, including your families, friends, and all that. Or you seek out devotees. There are so many temples, practitioners, and they actually help us to stay in this yoga process. So by doing that, even if we have some doubts, or even if we are distracted, we can fall in line, because they will, get us back on track. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. The sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So that is what it's mentioned in the Shastras, how a sparrow once lost her eggs to the ocean, and the ocean, and she begged the ocean, please give back my eggs. She was very determined to get back her eggs, but ocean thought she's so insignificant. He was just roaring up and down. He didn't do anything. But because she was so determined, the sparrow, news of her effort reached Garuda, who's a sister bird. So he is so powerful, being the carrier of Vishnu. He came, and he was very happy by her determination, and he asked the ocean to return her eggs. And the ocean was frightened. Otherwise, he said, I myself will take the work of the sparrow, because the sparrow threatened that I will dry you up. And so she started taking little by little, water from the ocean and throwing it out. And what can she achieve? Very little. But Garuda was very impressed with her determination. So he came and he said, if you don't give back the eggs, I will dry you up. And so the ocean got scared, because Garuda is all powerful. So he gave. So similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga and Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if one follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. So it may seem very difficult in the beginning, but if we continue determinedly, whatever we are doing, and pray to the Lord, and then we will get help. So that's determination, perseverance, and faith essential for success. Lord helps those who help themselves. Example of the sparrow and Garuda. Difference in perfection between Jnanis, Yogis, and Bhaktas. We saw how Jnanis want to merge with the super soul. Yogis understand that Paramatma and Atma are different, and so they are meditating and they're just glorifying the Lord, but they're not rendering service. But Bhakta, from the very beginning, he's rendering service to the Lord, and so he experiences lot of ananda or happiness. Okay, so One should think of, okay,
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt, Mataji. Can I ask one that, please?
yeah, sure, ask.
Mataji, even at our ISKCON, they used to tell that we have to see Krishna in everyone, everybody, right?
Krishna in everybody.
Everyone or everybody, Mataji.
Yes.
But now, present, you are telling that Paramatma and Atma is different. What, can you please get what's the difference and what's the meaning of this, Mataji? Can you please
What's the
give clarity
difference
about
between
this?
what? Atma and Paramatma.
Yes, Mataji. Just now you told that the Atma and Super Soul and the soul is different, right?
See, Atma is ourselves, okay? Jivas. We are tiny, tiny Atmas. So many people, all living entities. And Paramatma is the expansion of Krishna who enters into everybody's heart, including all insects, birds, I mean, whoever, all living entities. And not only in living entities' heart, he also exists in every atom. So we saw the picture of Paramatma, right? That's how he looks. And he has expanded himself in the heart. He says, later we will see how within the heart, it's like a tree, with two birds sitting. The one is the Paramatma bird who's just a witness. He's watching us. And the Jiva bird is trying to enjoy with the senses, mind, and all that. So Krishna's expansion is Paramatma. So everybody's got Paramatma in their heart, and they themselves are there as Atma. He is God. He is an expansion of Krishna within the heart. As sometimes we experience as conscience, right? That is Krishna, Paramatma.
Okay. Mataji, sometimes some learned people used to tell that Aham Brahmasmi, right, Mataji? Uh,
Yeah, that is Aham
uh,
Brahmasmi means I am soul, I am Brahman. But then there is also Paramatma that they don't understand. Normally the impersonalists, they have completely, that's what, this impersonalism is what they only recognize one, Atma. And they think that Atma merges with the total Brahman and it is all one only. So they don't distinguish between Atma and Paramatma. So that is because they only see the energy. They don't even think that Krishna's form is eternal. Even in the temples, when they worship, they think it is simply some form you can choose among the 5 forms and worship. It is simply to get your mind to be, fixed in one place. They even say you can even, if you want, you can meditate on a dot on the, on the wall or something you just saw in the tip of the nose. You simply have to focus your mind. Just for that sake, that form is there. And once you become liberated, you don't need that form. This is their understanding. But if you go through scriptural evidence, and Krishna himself is come in so many avatars, and you read about relationship between Atma and Paramatma, so then you know that is not correct. That is only partial understanding of Krishna, absolute truth. Just like the sun's rays and the sun disk. Okay, so sun's rays, suppose you think sun is only the rays. Okay, that is also true. Sun is God, the rays are nothing but the sun. But you think sun means only rays. That is like Brahmajyoti. They think that God is only Brahmajyoti. That Brahmajyoti is coming from Krishna's body, just like the sun emits rays. The Jyoti is coming from Krishna's body. So they only understand up to that. Then when you do Ashtanga Yoga, and then when you're perfected, you will realize that, oh, there is Atma, there is not just one, there is Atma and Paramatma, two people. There is form is there. It's not just light. If it's only light, how will creation take place? Only light will create. If we have forms, why is it that the Brahman has no form? Isn't it? So like that. So Paramatma realization is higher than that. It is like you look at the sun. Oh, rays are coming from the sun. You understand a little more. And then suppose you are able to go and land on the sun. And then you see, oh, there are other living beings over here. There is a full city, everything. That is like Bhagavan realization. You know that Krishna has got a form and he's got so many people around him and he lives in the spiritual world. He's got his own leelas. It's like that. Okay?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So now we've finished 10 to 24. Now this 10 to, oh, I'll just tell you what it contains. Then we can take questions and the quiz. Okay. Okay. 25 to 36 is the next one. And after describing the yoga practice of fixing the mind on the self, now Krishna explains the realization of the yogi. So this is where you will come to know what he sees, the Paramatma, because he sees Krishna situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. He sees Krishna everywhere and everything in Krishna. Thus he sees all living entities equally. And then Arjuna rejects the Ashtanga Yoga as impractical because his mind appears too uncontrollable. How can I sit there? You sit in one place for 5 minutes also, it's so difficult to concentrate. You sit and just sit like that and just look at the tip of the nose. How long can you sit? He said, I can't do all this. Then Krishna assures Arjuna, but that it is possible by constant practice and detachment. In those days, nowadays hardly anybody can do this. So that is what is the next section. We'll see tomorrow. I'm sorry, today we did only 2 verses, but these are very important verses. That's why I'm taking time. And let's say, okay, we'll see the different methods of pratyahara, all the Ashtanga things, So we'll see the other. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Mataji, do we get tips for controlling minds in further sections, Mataji?
What?
Do we get tips for controlling minds in further section, Mataji?
Do we get what?
Tips on controlling our mind.
Tips.
Tips on controlling.
Tips
Yes.
for controlling the mind. Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Do we get in further coming sessions, Mataji?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll briefly tell you. And then okay. Oh, Ayush. Hare Krishna. Welcome.
I have a question.
Okay. What's the question?
For interruption. So quite a generic question. Let's say we are involved in Bhakti Yoga. We are attached to God, meditating on Him, and in our own space with God, meditating on Him. Then what is the need of technically dissecting these scriptures and understanding these from verse to verse? Won't that realization dawn upon us by the grace of Lord Himself?
No, that is what he's telling us. What is the practice by which we can contact him? Scriptures are nothing but taking us towards God, because we are very distracted. And right now, it's very difficult to understand God as he is. And the mind plays havoc on us. And the main thing is because the mind is controlling us. And the senses are also disturbing us. That is the main issue. Senses and mind completely act as covering between us and the Lord, Paramatma. And so yoga is a method of removing that covering. It's like, say, a curtain is there and you can see.
A follow-up to that, let's say we follow a certain direction of yoga, either a Raj Yoga, and we sit in meditations, do a certain practice, and we are in that state of samadhi, or samadhi, I might not be rephrasing it, but a sort of thoughtlessness in the mind, and we're in a good space, uh, very serene peace space. So doesn't that suffice itself to do one specific practice of yoga and be in that space, or should we actively read and analyze the scriptures as well? That's my question, actually.
No, this is just the bare minimum. Bhagavad Gita is what Krishna tells us. We are not sitting and studying all the scriptures. In this age, If you study Bhagavad Gita, because the science of God, he himself is given by Krishna. So that is why it's so valuable. Otherwise, we'll get stuck. We may get some little peace of mind, but what he is telling, we have to face the whole life, so many problems. This little bit of peace of mind is not enough. We have to, so this full perfection we need, we have to be progressive until we reach the final perfection of actually being able to see the Lord, understand his qualities. So final, complete perfection is available when you follow the Shastra. Shastra is considered the mother. The mother will guide us in, with her authority only we know who's the father. Right? Mother only has to tell. In the same way, the Supreme Father is, what he is, who he is, what are his qualities, pastimes are all given. The scriptures is the mother.
I see.
So by understanding that very easily, we don't have to struggle, no? Otherwise, if you simply just speculation, maybe this, maybe that, maybe God is like that, we'll get into so many problems. Little bit of breathing exercise might give us some little, good peace of mind and, good health and all that, but that's not enough, isn't it? To get full perfection. That's why.
Thanks for enlightening me on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Purvi, I will cover what you said about this thing tomorrow. Yes? What
Yes,
was your
Mataji.
question?
I asked who's Patanjali, Mataji.
Oh, no. Okay. Patanjali is a yoga, the person who gave Ashtanga Yoga. He learned it from Lord Shiva and to all of us. To the people.
And is the incarnation of Ramanujacharya?
No.
Okay, Mataji. And
Okay, Hare Krishna. No, somebody else asked a question. No, what was that? Before Ayush asked, who was it? And I was about to answer, but then I thought, okay, some of it, tomorrow I will answer that. Something about the yoga system, isn't it?
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Tips for controlling mind.
Tips for controlling the mind. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow because you have asked the right question, because the next class, he's talking about that. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So we will, since the verse is also to do with that, tomorrow we'll do it. Okay.
Thank you so much for enlightening Mataji. Thank you so much.
Mataji, have some questions for summarizing?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'm so sorry to interrupt you all.
Yes.
Regarding the Ashtasiddhi which you were talking about, like I can increase my size bigger than the biggest or become smaller than the smallest. I can reach out and touch something. I just remembered Lord Hanuman, that the verse from Hanuman Chalisa, Ashtasiddhi Navanidike Data Asabharadina Janaki Mata. So was that what Mata Sita blessed him with?
Yeah. And Hanuman already sort of had it, because he could become so huge and fly across the sea and reach Lanka, and then he could make himself so tiny and walk unnoticed. All that he already had, but probably he didn't have everything, so he blessed her. She blessed him. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dhanvat Pranam.
Yes. Okay, Utkashni Mataji, will you ask the questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Just a few questions I'll ask. I think it's getting late for you also. Okay, this 23rd.
Yeah, only on Mondays I have a class.
Yeah,
just
I
at
know.
9. That's why. But
Can I
anyway,
ask
you
tomorrow?
ask a few questions.
Mataji, can I ask tomorrow if you don't?
Okay. Is that okay for all of you? Or would you like to summarize?
Just 2-3.
Just ask 2-3 questions so that it will be a summary. Otherwise,
just quick one word answer or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is yoga? What does yoga mean? And gradually, when they advance, and what are the benefits, like which is mentioned in 23rd shloka?
What is the meaning of yoga? Yug. What is that?
That was the first thing
Ju-
Mataji explained. What is yoga? Jugal. Jugal means what?
We have Jugal Bandi, no? What is Jugal Bandi?
Jugal means combining.
Huh? Jugal means?
Combining.
Yeah. What? Combining what?
Bhakti.
What
Soul,
is two
soul
things,
and the
right?
super soul.
Yes. So that is two. Jugal means two. So that is what? Yoga means combining soul and super soul. That is yoga. Jug.
Okay.
Two. Combining the two.
Which is the best mean of spiritual realization? For spiritual realization, which is the best mean?
Meditation.
No.
Bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga. Yes,
Mhm.
Bhakti yoga is the one. Okay. Yoga is based on which system? Mataji kept on telling that. Yoga is based on which system?
Oh, you mean
Controlling
Ashtanga Yoga?
mind.
Mataji. Patanjali. It's based
That's
on
what. Ashtanga Yoga, if you tell, that is based on Patanjali, no?
yeah, Ashtanga Yoga.
Bhakti
Yes,
Yoga.
Mataji. Okay. Sorry, Mataji. Sorry. Ashtanga is based on Patanjali system. Okay. Oh, when can we relish this unlimited Ananda?
Hare Krishna. When we realize our relationship with Paramatma.
Mataji, you said when we realize that Paramatma, when we
Relationship, our relationship with
Yes,
the
ma.
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, Mataji, is that okay, Mataji?
What was the question?
How can, when can we, relish this unlimited Ananda?
Yes. When the Atma connects with the Paramatma.
Paramatma.
And maximum is when we are engaged in serving him. Then there is complete Ananda. Of course, even the yoga system also experiences, Patanjali yoga system also experiences Ananda to to a large extent, because it has there is a connection between the Atma and Paramatma. There's subordination and submissiveness to the Paramatma. So that gives the Ananda.
How can we communicate with internal energy? Easily can communicate with your internal energy. How is that possible?
Meditation.
How can you do it?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Is that meditating, Mataji?
By chanting.
I
Hare Krishna.
also refer to how we can easily do, right? Meditation is difficult in this age, but we can do active meditation as Bhakti Yoga, which is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Okay, please chant Hare Krishna mantra now. Or
Yes,
if you have, excuse me, only for today I have to
Yes,
leave a
Mataji.
little early. Okay.